Okay, let's dive into one of the wildest medical mysteries I've ever come across. This is a story that, believe it or not, starts out in the woods, but it ends up right on your dinner plate. It's one of those times where science is genuinely stranger than fiction.
Just picture this for a second. One day, you're at a barbecue, you're eating a burger, maybe a steak, no problems at all. And then, the very next day, that exact same meal could literally send you to the hospital. Now, for tens of thousands of people, this isn't just some crazy thought experiment. It's their new reality.
And here's the kicker. The thing that triggers this massive, life-altering change isn't something you eat. Nope, it's something that eats you. A single bite from a tiny little creature is totally rewriting people's immune systems.
Yeah, and this is not just some mild inconvenience we're talking about. I mean, for patients like Julie Lesor, it was an absolute living nightmare. She went on this year-long medical journey with multiple near-death experiences, and all the while, her doctors had no clue. Some even told her she might only have months to live. So for her and for so many others, this was about survival.
So here is the part of the mystery that had allergists completely stumped for years. Most food allergies, they hit you fast. You eat a peanut, you know about it pretty much right away. But with this, people would eat dinner, feel fine, go to bed, and then wake up hours later in the middle of the night, covered in hives with terrible stomach pain, or even worse, full-on anaphylactic shock. That huge delay made it almost impossible for anyone to connect the reaction back to the food they ate.
The big breakthrough didn't even come from studying these weird meat allergies. It actually came from a totally different area of medicine, oncology. A new cancer drug was creating its own medical crisis, and that's when the pieces of this puzzle finally started to click into place.
Okay, so here's the situation. There's this new drug called cetuximab, but for some reason in states like Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, patients were having these immediate, really dangerous allergic reactions to their very first dose. The drug company, of course, was desperate to figure out why, so they called in an allergy specialist, Dr. Thomas Platts Mills, to investigate. And that geographic clue? That turned out to be everything.
So as Dr. Platts Mills and his team started digging, they found the culprit wasn't a protein, which is what you see in most allergies. No, it was a sugar molecule called galactose alpha-1,3 galactose, or just alpha-gal for short. Now here's what's so important to understand. This sugar is in the meat of pretty much all mammals. Cows, pigs, lambs, you name it, but not in primates. That means it's not in us. Our bodies see it as a foreign invader.
So when they looked at the blood from the patients who had these bad reactions to cetuximab, they found their immune systems were already armed and waiting. They had these specific IgE antibodies. Think of them like the body's little allergy attack dogs that were primed and ready to go after alpha-gal. The cancer drug, which was made using mouse cells, was just loaded with this sugar, and these patients' bodies just launched an all-out war against it.
And this was it. This was the big aha moment. Because if these people were already sensitive to alpha-gal before they ever even saw the drug, what else out there in their world could have exposed them to it? And what else contains that exact same sugar?
Red meat. Of course. It was red meat all along. All those strange, delayed, middle-of-the-night allergic reactions that nobody could figure out, they suddenly made perfect biological sense. These patients weren't going crazy, they were allergic to the alpha-gal sugar in the beef and pork they'd eaten hours before.
And this is how it all comes together. See, it starts with the Lone Star tick, which just so happens to be super common in the exact same region where all those drug reactions were happening. The tick bites a person, and that bite is what makes them sensitive to alpha-gal. After that, either eating red meat or getting a dose of that cancer drug can set off the whole dangerous reaction. The connection was finally made.
So let's just walk through this one more time, step by step. First, a tick bites a deer or some other mammal and gets a belly full of blood that's loaded with alpha-gal. Step 2, that same tick then bites you and injects that alpha-gal sugar right into your system through its saliva. Third, your immune system freaks out, flags alpha-gal as a threat, and builds an army of those IgE antibodies to fight it. And finally, the next time you eat a burger, those antibodies recognize the alpha-gal and, boom, they unleash the allergic reaction.
And listen, this isn't just some weird American problem. While the Lone Star tick is the main bad guy in the US, there are different kinds of ticks causing the exact same allergy all over the world. Europe, Australia, Asia, this is a truly global phenomenon, all linked by the same mechanism, just delivered by different local ticks.
Now, trying to avoid this allergy is incredibly difficult because alpha-gal isn't just in a piece of steak. It's hiding in plain sight. I mean, gelatin, which is made from animal parts, is in stuff like gummy candies, marshmallows, and even the capsules of some medicines. It can show up in certain vaccines and even in replacement heart valves that are made from cow or pig tissue. For patients, it's this constant, exhausting game of being a detective.
And just to make it even more complicated, the reaction isn't always the same. There are these other things, called cofactors, that can basically act like amplifiers. So, for example, having a glass of wine with your steak, or going for a run after dinner, or even just taking an ibuprofen. Any of those things can turn what might have been a mild case of hives into a full-blown, life-threatening event.
7 years. That is the average amount of time it takes for a person with this condition to get a correct diagnosis. 7 years of terrifying, unexplained symptoms, trips to the emergency room, just living in constant fear and confusion. That is a staggering amount of time to suffer without any answers.
And the consequences of that long delay can be really serious, because the symptoms often include that intense abdominal pain. People get misdiagnosed all the time with things like IBS or gallbladder problems. We're talking about people having completely unnecessary invasive surgeries before anyone even thinks to test them for this bizarre allergy.
And this right here is probably the most important takeaway for anyone out there who might be having these kinds of symptoms. The standard allergy skin prick tests, they're just not reliable for alpha-gal. The only real way to know for sure is a specific blood test that looks for those IgE antibodies. That one test can finally put an end to that 7-year nightmare.
So, from a mystery illness to a cancer drug to a tiny tick bite, the story of alpha-gal syndrome is just a wild reminder of how connected everything in our world is. I mean, did this story surprise you? If you or someone you know has any experience with this, please share it in the comments below. Your story might really help somebody else out. And hey, if you found this interesting, be sure to hit that like button and let us know what other scientific mystery you'd like us to tackle next.